Israel's Prime Minister has called the recognition of a Palestinian state by countries, including Australia, disgraceful and sheer madness. Speaking at the United Nations, Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to continue military operations in Gaza, telling Hamas to lay down weapons and release Israeli hostages immediately. Dominic Waghorn filed this report from New York.
Well, it's very interesting. I mean, it's a kind of annual ritual, isn't it, Jonathan, that Benjamin Netanyahu comes to New York for UN General Assembly. He takes to the podium and then much of the hall leaves, diplomats and delegates leaving the hall in a mass walkout. And then outside we have these big protests. I think we've got some pictures of them live. I can hear them to my left. Very big protests against Netanyahu's presence here, as well as a protest against his speech inside. And then he gets into the meat of his speech. In this occasion, he was actually heckled by the father of a hostage in Gaza, but it was trademark Netanyahu with his normal visual aids, and this year he had this map of the region that he presented last year, but this time around he had a black pen that he used to strike off all the enemies of Israel that he claims Israel has either defeated or degraded, from Hamas to Hezbollah to the Houthis to Iran. And then, as he said, it was defiant. He condemned those who say that what he's doing in Gaza is genocidal, and he condemned any characterization of the war there as leading to the starvation of Palestinians. And it ended with this denunciation of the idea of a Palestinian state, an idea that has been espoused and supported by an increasing number of countries, including Britain and France this year. The problem for Netanyahu is that he does not have an alternative to the two-state solution. He's always rejected the idea of a Palestinian state. This year's characterization that he gave of it was particularly cynical, saying it would be a terror state and was only being created because of Western governments giving in to the anti-Semitism of their voters. And you know, people who've been advocating the idea of Palestine would say they just simply want a prosperous, secure Palestine side by side with a prosperous, secure Israel. His other big problem diplomatically is that he's being more and more sort of left less and less room to maneuver, if you like. So Donald Trump saying that outside the White House, saying that he thinks a deal is close now, is putting enormous pressure on Netanyahu. And it comes off the back of Trump also saying he will not allow the Israeli Prime Minister to annex the West Bank. Now, Trump is under a huge amount of pressure from Arab and Muslim countries who this week have said to him here in pretty uncertain terms that the signature achievement of your first term in office, foreign policy achievement, the Abraham Accords, a normalization of relations between Israel and the UAE and Bahrain, that is now in jeopardy if this Gaza war goes on. So this weekend, I think, for Netanyahu, as he prepares to meet the American president, in an environment that is, as I say, getting more restrictive diplomatically for the Israeli Prime Minister, is probably going to be one of his most testing diplomatically of his career.